This is Corel Draw Tips and Tricks. This is going to be how to make rounded corners on the plaque, and some of it's going to be related to just woodworkers and not totally engravers. But let's say we want rounded corners on a plaque, and I'm not going to specify the size right now to save time. But then you can go to your shape tool and just turn these in. You know, just grab one of them and they equally move the same amount. The only thing I don't, and that would be too much for a plaque, but that wouldn't be too bad. The only thing I don't really, you know, it's hard to tell what this number is because of the fact that, you know, I guess if you did this 0.25, and then all of them would be 0.25. But to me, that's kind of a little bit time consuming and takes a little long. But what I like to do is take this, make sure this lock button is locked, your edit corners together, and it'll tell you. It's kind of hard to see that lock, if it's locked or not locked, but it's locked now. So I'm going to take and I'm going to just change one of them to 0.25, and it changed all four corners. Well, let's say we're going to unlock it and we just want this one 0.5 and we want the other top one 0.5. Now you've got two rounded corners and two square corners. Now I don't know why you would ever do that, but that's an option. Now they don't have to be rounded corners. Lock this back. You could go chamfered or scalloped. Chamfered is just going to give you all four corners are going to be like they've been cut off with a saw. And then scalloped, let's go with 0.5 on a scallop. That would look pretty good with a plaque, and I always fill it in just so you can kind of see what it looks like. Now what you would do, I would put this in the center of your page. Then I went ahead and wrote some text to save a little time, and I'm going to hit P and I'm going to put it in the center of the page. So now you know that your text is in the center of the page. No matter what you do to it, you hit the P key and you're getting in the center. Make it a little bit bigger. That's in the center of the page. Well, let's take this away for a minute because this is where the woodworking part starts. Let's take a piece of quarter inch MDF and you cut it to that size. Make sure it's in the corner of your laser. I keep my nudge factor really low. I like to be precise. Now, so you've got a piece of quarter inch MDF in your laser. It's a little bit big. We don't need to waste that much. You want some extra, and I'll tell you why in just a second. So then you're going to take, and this piece is already cut out. So basically you want to turn this into a half a point and make it black so you know it won't cut it out. Then run the job and it's just, your laser just going to cut this out. Then I would take some masking tape, and I use blue painter's tape. I would put my hand on the MDF somewhere and use the blue masking tape to kind of stick to this board to pull it out of the pattern without moving your pattern. Now, let's say, I don't have my text centered anymore. I did this first and I didn't center it in the center of the page. Well, not to worry. We can find the center of this object. Take your straight line tool, and as long as you go from the top to the bottom, from the top to the bottom, or vice versa, bottom to the top, you're going to get in the center. Now you know that that's in the center of the page. Then you can take your text, zoom in a little bit, and you can see you're a little bit off, and I would move that with the mouse first. Now you're dead on. Now here's the Woodworking Park. You've got this shape right here. Well, you've got this plaque that's cut out on 1/4 inch MDF. It's out of your machine. I use double-sided sticky tape. I actually use double-sided Turner's tape. It's really, really strong. It's amazing how strong it is. And you put 2 little pieces on it and you tape it to your real piece of wood. Piece of maple or walnut or whatever wood you're going to make the plaque out of. You're going to stick it to the top with this tape. Then you're going to go over to a bandsaw and you're going to cut, and watch out, don't cut your pattern, your template. And so I would try to stay within 1/8 of an inch all the way around. You know, if you get to 1/4, it's a little bit thick sometimes. Then you go over it, and so now your template is on top of the wood. I go over a router table, and on a router table I have a pattern bit. A pattern bit is a router bit with a bearing on the top. Some of them have bearings on the bottom and they're different names, but I use the one that's on the top for safety. My pattern's on the top. I would lower it in the table to where the bearing is riding on my 1/4 inch MDF, and then the cutting blades of the router bit are going to cut your real wood to the shape of this. Exactly. I mean, it's scary how close it gets because the bearing is so well made and precise. Then you've got your real piece of wood. You put it back into this hole that's been there forever. So here's your MDF. You put your real wood into this hole. You're going to want to raise your focus because you were focused on 1/4. Now this might be 1 inch thick or 3/4 of an inch thick. So raise your focus before you put your board in there. Run the job, and everything else is a hairline except for these text words. And it's going to laser it exactly where it was. I mean, you can't get any better than that. You know, you could, if you had that plaque, let's say you did it without MDF, you don't have a piece of MDF and you've got your plaque, then you could group all these together. But you've already done all the work, you know, then you could put this up to the top right corner and then you could run your text. But if you have your shape cut out, it knows exactly where it is. Now, this particular case, it wouldn't be so bad because we've got square corners. But if you were doing an oval plaque, let's say you were doing an oval plaque, and you put the text in there. Well, anyway, you put the text in there. There's no way that you can get that oval plaque. Well, you can, but it's so much easier if you had it cut out. The laser knows where it is, and it's going to laser right on top of it and exactly where it needs to be. Thank you for watching, and I hope that helped.